Phosphor Dot friends. Earl at thelogbook.com, back on the Game Boy Color. We're playing Yars Revenge, a game that is more closely associated with the Atari 2600, but this was released in 1999 on the Game Boy Color, and I may have just said Game Boy Advance, I meant Game Boy Color. This was kind of part of a little 2 or 3 year period that we had where revivals of older games on modern consoles was suddenly, it was a really hot thing. I mean, you had, this nice little purple patch where you had Pac-Man World on the PlayStation, you had Ms. Pac-Man Maze Madness on the PlayStation, you had Qbert on the PlayStation. There was a bunch of these things were being revived for modern platforms at a time when that was, not the most frequent thing to have happening. And so it was nice to have these old games get some attention. Obviously, with this version of the game, you are playing in a smaller space, or your screen is smaller than the space, because as you can see, there's some scrolling, there's some horizontal scrolling there to fit the horizontal space into the square screen. And let's give it a shot. Let's find out how vengeful our Yar is. The first attack wave is upon us. Prepare yourself. Ah, you see? He's a bug, not a feature. The gameplay is very simple. I run over there and I die. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, let's die again. That's what I meant to do. Let's try that again. Ooh. Oh, that was a close call for you. I said as I was about to get killed again. Boom. Bye. Although everything has a finer graphical sheen than it did, than was possible on the 2600 at the time. The Kotile Armada is within range. Prepare for battle. I've already been battling. I don't know what you've been doing, dude. Ew. One interesting difference between this and the Atari game is that, of course, the 2600 joystick had only one fire button. And as such, I'm going to pick up where I left off on level 4. Not that I was doing very well at level 4, but let's keep trying. You had the ability to either use the zapper or use the big gun. Fire that to kill the Kotile. But you only had one button, and so if you had your Zorlon cannon loaded, you couldn't use the zapper. Well, in this game, since the Game Boy has A and B buttons, you do have both weapons open for use at all times. Not that this will necessarily help them. This doesn't really help, but it is an interesting capability to note. The other thing that's interesting to note is that you see that little arrow on the right-hand side of the screen. Oh, I touched the ghost of Yar to store cells for free lives. I am not very good at this. Prepare for battle. I've been battling since I turned this thing on, buddy. I really don't know what y'all at headquarters are doing, but I'm doing a lot of that. Yar's Revenge at the time was kind of a fond memory, so when I say that right at the end of the 20th century, right at the beginning of the 21st, you had this interesting little period where, it seemed like nothing was off the table as far as retro gaming properties. You know, being commercially viable again. This is a really good example of that. I don't think anyone was expecting Yars Revenge to come back. You know, of course the 2600 still had a following. Always did. Oh. But I don't think a revival of Yars Revenge was on anybody's bingo card in 1999. Much less by Telegames, because Telegames was... they were still a going concern at the time, but they were better known for supporting the ColecoVision, and occasionally the 2600 with new stuff, or, you know, or NOS, new old stock. But I don't think anyone really expected them to be developing Game Boy games. And so that's kind of what makes this 1999 revival of Yars Revenge an interesting title. It's a decent translation of the original game. It doesn't beat the original. I will take the original any day. It's kind of amusing that they took the glitch from the original game that was called the Ghost of Yar and made it a gameplay element. That's kind of cute. But in terms of balance, in terms of being able to see everything in one screen, yeah, I will take the original Yars Revenge over any revival any day. It was just such a well-balanced game, and I think that is a huge part of why it is so well loved.